Do you know that slaves wove maps into their hair to aid their escape? Hello everyone, my name is Gabriella. You're welcome to the Sankofa Pan-Africa series. This topic is a really exciting one. We're going to be looking at how African hairstyles have influenced hairstyle culture today. Now, what are African hairstyles? Well, that's a pretty self-explanatory term. African hairstyles are the unique and beautiful ways that Africans style their hair, obviously. So now these hairstyles were developed to cater to the varying hair textures across the continent. They are beautiful, they are versatile, and they can be styled in so many different ways. From braids to cornrows to hair adorned with ornaments like beads, they are such an excellent depiction of hairstyles are actually more than just aesthetics. In pre-colonial Africa, hairstyles held social significance, and in some African cultures, they still do. They depict age, social status, economic status, and even geographical location. A perfect example is the Wolof culture in Senegal, where young girls will partially shave their heads as an outward sign that they were not courting. Another example is the Karama people of Oyo State in Nigeria. They are known for their unique coiffure, which is a shaved head with a single tuft of hair left at the top. Another hair tradition that is practiced in a lot of African cultures is where widowed women would pay little or no attention to their appearance, including their hair, to not appear attractive to other men and as a sign that they were in mourning. Now, I'm about to drop some more history. During the period of slavery in Southern America, hairstyles were a powerful mechanism for survival and even freedom. Slaves were prevented from communicating with one another. They weren't allowed to learn how to read and write, but they found a very crafty, unique way to communicate with their hair. San Basilio de Palenque is a village in northern Colombia that was founded by Benko Bilho. Now, Benko Bilho was an escaped slave who had been a king in Africa. Now, his family ruled over what is now known as Guinea-Bissau. Benko was sold several times before escaping and starting San Basilio de Palenque, which became a harbor for escaped slaves. Now, Benko was a pretty interesting man. He had an army and even developed an intelligence network that particularly utilized women. Now, female slaves weren't checked upon as frequently or as often as their male counterparts, and they were allowed to wander more freely. So while they were wandering, they were actually mapping out escape routes. Those escape routes were now woven into their hair, and parts were formed with the cornrows, and these helped a lot of slaves escape and find freedom. San Basilio de Palenque now has about 3,500 inhabitants and is still the only city that was founded by slaves that is still standing in Colombia. Tourists who visit the village could have these authentic hairstyles recreated by women who are still in the of beauty and history associated with African hair and hairstyles. There's still been a lot of discrimination. From choosing to wear hair natural to embracing authentic African hairstyles, Africans in diaspora have faced a lot of prejudice for these choices. Sometimes this discrimination even comes from African communities. Hairstyles like dreadlocks have been frowned upon in a couple of African communities. African American women in the places of work, from media to fitness, have sometimes been suspended or even fired for choosing to embrace authentic African hairstyles. This discrimination has gone on for so long, and just very recently the law stepped in. In July 2019, California became the first state to see the unanimous passage of a bill that places a ban on all forms of hairstyle-based discrimination, and this bill is called the Crown. Now, CROWN stands for Create a Respectful and Open Workplace for Natural Hair. Policies that discriminate against hairstyles are a harmful form of racial discrimination that are on the books in a lot of workplaces and schools. These policies prohibit African American hairstyles in the name of professionalism, and they have roots in white supremacy. Now, hair regulations date back to Louisiana in the 1700s, where women of color, enslaved and free, were required to cover their hair to show they were in a lower class. This act means that women of color can wear their natural hair and African hairstyles without coming under any discrimination in their workplaces or at their school. New York became the second state to pass its own Crown Act later the same month, and New Jersey passed a Crown Act in December 2019. Crown Coalition reports, Crown Coalition actually is a growing alliance of businesses and civil rights groups, and it reports that 22 more states have stated an intent to introduce variations of the Crown Act. Also, federal legislation has been introduced by Senator Cory Booker to see a complete end to all forms of hairstyle-based discrimination. Amidst the prejudice, people of African descent have continued to wear these hairstyles with poise and confidence. The most popular of these choices include braids. Now, braids have been observed in cultures around the world, but there's no doubt about the intensity of the trend in African cultures. Cultures like the Himba people of Namibia have been known to embrace braids and locks. Now, the hairstyle dates back to ancient Egypt in about 3500 BC. It's more than styling. It's used for ethnic identification and social classification. Celebrities who have embraced this hairstyle include Beyonce, Lupita Nyong'o, Gabrielle Union, but to mention a few. Another example is cornrows. History can show that cornrows originated in Africa, but many lack the reason as to why. They were used to show the ethnic group you belong to. Cornrows can be worn by both genders and date back to about 3000 BC for women and the 19th century for men, particularly in Ethiopia. Cornrows is a style of braiding hair where the hair is braided very close to the scalp, using an underhand upward motion to create a continuous raised row. Depending on the region of the world, both men and women can wear cornrows, and they're usually adorned with ornaments like hair cuffs, cowrie shells, and beads. Celebrities who have worn cornrows include Beyonce again, Kim Kardashian, and even Justin Bieber. Now we're going to look at this beautiful hair accessory, head wraps. Now, head wraps are another style trait that were popular amongst different cultures around the world. However, this style was customary among African women, particularly Nubian and Nigerian queens, ranging from ancient times, the 1700s, and stretching into today's popular culture. Head wraps were used to, are symbolic of royalty and also discern age, religion, and marital status. Popular people who have rocked these beautiful accessories include Yvonne Orji, Jennifer Lopez, Alicia Keys, and Eva Marcille. I hope you found this informative and interesting. Please give us a thumbs up, share with your contacts, and subscribe to our channel. Also, watch out for our next video. We're going to be discussing African influence on modern art. You do not want to miss it. Thank you for watching.